Welcome back to the Manifestation Method podcast. I'm your host, Ayelet Polonsky, and today we're diving deep into a topic that I know so many of us struggle with, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, and that is the need to belong, to be seen, to be understood. And the deep transformation that happens when we stop seeking that from others and start giving it to ourselves. Not that we ever fully need to stop seeking it from others, because it is a very human need, but there's a fine line between receiving it and our life depending on it. So let's jump in. Becoming a co-creator with the creator is your birthright. Together, we'll journey into your deepest authenticity. Because the more you align with who you truly are, the more effortlessly you call in the life that you desire and deserve. And most importantly, the more you step into your soul's highest purpose. Welcome to the Manifestation Method podcast, your number one source for Kabbalistic manifestation. Here we combine the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, modern psychology, and quantum physics to help you achieve real, tangible manifestation results with my proven Abra method. I'm Ayelet Polonsky, and I'm here to guide you on your journey of manifesting a life that is aligned, expansive, and deeply connected to your highest self through the sacred energetic mechanics of Kabbalistic manifestation. To learn how to use Kabbalistic manifestation to transform your life from the inside out, go to ayeletpolonsky.com or download the Manifestation Method app. Let's open the gates of manifestation together. See, the human need to belong is relevant to all of us. We all have a primal, innate desire to be a part of something bigger than ourselves, to belong to something. And it's baked into our very biology. From tribal survival to modern social dynamics, our nervous system literally relaxes when we feel seen and accepted. And that's not a bad thing. Belonging gives us safety. It gives us meaning. It allows us to feel that we're a part of something. And that's beautiful until it starts coming at the cost of self. See, so many of us have internalized the belief that in order to belong, we must bend, contort, shrink ourselves. We end up hustling for our worthiness. We perform, we people please. We even say yes when we want to scream no on the inside just to maintain connection. I mean, I'm guilty of this sometimes, right? But here's the truth I want to offer today. If it costs you your authenticity, it's just too expensive. This pattern of self-abandonment is sneaky. It wears the disguise of, well, I'm being generous and I'm being kind and I'm loyal. But underneath this disguise is often the drive of fear. It's driven by fear, the fear of being rejected, misunderstood, alone, right? And like I said, I get it. I've been there. I'll just share a personal story of like one of the big realizations in me where I was guilty of this. And that was, when I left with my family, we left Israel after October 7th, right? When the war broke out, my family and I, who were living in Jerusalem at the time, we made a very abrupt decision to leave. It didn't even feel like it was a conscious decision. It felt like in the moment we had no choice. The war broke out on October 7th, and 4 days later, a result of numerous events that unfolded, one of them being my son on October 9th, just 2 days after the war broke out, waking up in the middle of the night, shaking. And I held him in my arms, and he looked up at me and he calls me Ima. He said, Ima, will you protect me? Will you keep me safe? Right? He was 4 at the time. And I remember my heart dropped to my stomach. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't even know if I can protect myself, let alone protect my child. Right? So I looked at my husband and I said, get us the first ticket out. We just need to go for a short period of time to America. And I can't even begin to explain the inner turmoil I felt. We left Israel for what we thought was going to be 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned into 2 months. 2 months turned into 5 months. It was 5 months of not knowing, where do we belong? Where are we meant to be? Do we go back to Israel and go back to living out the vision that we had for our family, which was to raise our children in the Holy Land? Or do we stay in America? And for those first 5 months, I was in a complete state of agony. I felt like I had betrayed my people, my community, my chosen family. And I kept thinking to myself for those 5 months, right? How could I leave? Does that make me weak? Other people decided to stay in Israel. I didn't. Did I abandon them in their time of need? What's wrong with me that I couldn't make it work there? And so the guilt I was carrying was heavy. I carried shame. I questioned my integrity to my dream of living the rest of my life in Israel, to my people. All right. But over time, something inside me began to shift. It was through deep reflection, prayer, therapy, and real inner listening that I came to realize something so profound that it changed everything in that moment, and it changed everything that would come for the future, for the rest of my life. And that was the understanding that had I stayed in Israel, I would have abandoned myself. October 7th was a breaking point for my nervous system, right? My children needed safety. My soul needed grounding. I always say, I'm like a living, breathing antenna, right? Like my whole system really feels the environment that it's in. It's a blessing, but also can come as at a cost, right? It feels the environment I'm in. So I can't just disassociate or lie to myself or pretend like everything's okay when it's not. It's just not how my spiritual, physical, mental architecture is built, right? So for the first time in a long time, I chose me. And it wasn't a dramatic, rebellious choice. It was a quiet, almost invisible choice. But it shook the very foundation of how I lived for years, maybe my whole life, right? For most of my life, I had been abandoning myself in small ways and in big ways. I was saying yes when every fiber of my being whispered no. I was staying silent when I wanted to speak up, or shrinking so that other people could feel more comfortable around me. I would stay loyal to dynamics that drained me or friendships that drained me, just so I wouldn't rock the boat, just to keep the peace. And what I was doing is I was confusing being liked with being loved. I was mistaking approval for belonging. And I didn't know that I was self-abandoning my whole life or for many years. I thought that I was just being a quote unquote good person. I thought that I was being kind and spiritual and humble and accommodating. Ultimately I was being a martyr, right? I was abandoning myself in order to make space for the other. But beneath those people-pleasing masks was a scared part of me. Right? Terrified that if I showed my full truth, if I expressed my boundaries, my needs, my no, that I would lose love, or that I would be too much, or not enough, or rejected. And it would literally shake the very structure of belonging that I had built for myself. But during that dark season when the war broke out and my world literally flipped upside down, I couldn't fake it anymore. Like that, the magnitude of that event was too big for me to hide behind the people pleasing facade. And my nervous system couldn't fake it anymore, right? I had nothing left to give but honesty. And the truth was, I needed to leave. I needed to put my oxygen mask on first. I needed to prioritize my kids, my family, my sanity. And in doing so, I know I disappointed some people. I mean, when I went back to visit with my husband, some people were really honest in telling me their thoughts about us moving to America, right? Like, oh, the real place for you to be is in Israel, they would say. And, you're going to miss the boat when Mashiach comes if you live in America. And, oh, you went downward by moving to America, right? I got a lot of different comments from a lot of different people. And I did. I felt the sting of judgment, whether it was real or imagined. In moments, I felt like I had really walked away from my tribe, from not just my chosen family, but from my very identity that I had spent years creating. But something else profound happened too. I found myself. And in that finding, I discovered a whole new dimension of healing. I realized that true belonging doesn't come from loyalty to a group at the expense of your well-being. That belonging doesn't come at the expense of looking good in other people's eyes. Right? Or I should say that looking good in other people's eyes doesn't come at the expense of you looking good in your own eyes, is what I meant to say. Right? That's not belonging. Looking good in other people's eyes, right? Staying loyal to a group at your own expense, that is not belonging. That's a trauma bond. That's fear disguised as devotion to something. And true belonging happens the moment that you decide, I will no longer abandon myself to be liked, understood, or accepted. This realization, although I've done a lot of work around this over the last 2 decades, right, really had a turning point for me after October 7th. It's like something really anchored in my system on an embodied level where I really got it. Right? I really understood that when you no longer outsource your worth to how others perceive you, you become free. You start liking yourself. You start becoming your own home, your own sanctuary, your own temple, and it's safe to go into your own temple. Right? You can actually pray in your own temple. You become your own best friend, your own protector, your own safe place. And from that rooted place of self-respect, the people who are meant for you begin to gather around you. And that's exactly what, Beryl and I, my husband and I, have really begun to experience now that we've lived in America this last year and a half and have really been forced into this portal of deeper understanding and embodiment of this truth that I'm talking about here. It's like so naturally and organically, our tribe began to form around us, and we began holding community in a way with so much more integrity and responsibility and authenticity. And at no point do we sense that we tried to force this new place of belonging that we're creating for ourselves here in America. It all came so naturally and organically because at the epicenter of our being, it's coming from an inner space of honoring ourselves first. And that is so big, right? And I'm going to go deeper into this topic. So hopefully hopefully you're still with me, right? Because that experience really taught me the sacredness also of boundaries. Right? That boundaries are not walls that are put up to push people away, but that boundaries are bridges to real, authentic, safe connection. When I honor my no and you honor yours, that's when real trust is built. That's when depth in connection can arise. That's when safety in connection can arise. And that's when love becomes real, because it's no longer coming from a place of fear, but from a place of wholeness. Okay, so when I get to honor what is right for me and I prioritize that, but I don't take you out of the equation, I still love you while I honor me, there's a real safety in that. So now I no longer measure my alignment by how many people like me. Right? I no longer walk into a space where I don't know anybody and feel the need to like talk to everybody. I mean, I'm a pretty social person, so you'll probably see me talking to people in social settings anyways, but it's not coming from a place of like, oh, I'm walking in because I need these people to like me or to approve of me or because I need to belong. I just am my pure, authentic self, and whoever gravitates towards me, if we're in alignment, if we vibe, awesome. And if we don't, also awesome. I don't need you to like me in order for me to like me. And this is really how I've been able to measure my alignment with myself, right? It's a real good gauge. When you walk into a space, are you self-contained? Are you okay with yourself? Or do you see yourself kind of jumping out of your body and needing to grab at all the other people in the space in order for them to validate your existence, right? It's like I measure this by how honest I'm being with myself in those moments. How kind I am to the parts of me that used to betray the parts of me in order to have a seat at someone's table. I sit with those parts of me now. I thank those parts of me now. And I tell those parts of me now, the parts that used to so badly want to belong and feel like she's enough and feel wanted and loved, I'm able to really tell her from a real genuine place, you never have to perform again. You are safe with me. And that is where true belonging begins. When you finally choose yourself, not from a place of ego or defensiveness, but from a grounding, loving, self-honoring place, you become free. You realize that you don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need everyone to vibe with you. You don't need to hustle or try so hard to be seen. You just need to see yourself. That's when the inner liberation begins. That's when you start to actually like yourself. And that self-likability, when you like yourself, it is contagious. People will start showing up for you in deeper, more authentic ways because you're finally showing up for you. People will want to be in your energy field. When you start showing up for you, you become magnetic because your energy is self-centered. And I mean self-centered in a good way, like, right? Your energy is coming from a place of centeredness. Your energy is not coming from a place of grabbiness or desperation for that attention. You just are. You're just showing up fully as you are. And that's beautiful. And that's where real belonging comes from. That's when you'll start to see you belong everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. And that is the definition of freedom. Freedom is that understanding, that inner knowing that I belong everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. And here's the secret to this transformation. Or here's, I guess, where the transformation really begins. And that's in radical self-compassion. Learning to love and welcome every single part of you. And I mean every single part of you, right? The part that wants to be seen, the part that's afraid, the part that overgives, the part that feels like she's not enough, the part that's still longing for approval, the part that has fear, right? The part that's a little bit self-centered or conceited even sometimes, right? Or is like has some ego, right? All of it. You get to love, you get to welcome all of it. It doesn't mean that you have to approve of all of the behaviors, but at the root, it requires self-compassion. When you give those parts self-compassion, you'll see that some of the not so desirable behaviors will start to dissolve. But I want to take this even deeper, right? I want to get a little bit more vulnerable and share how for years I tried to eliminate the part of me that felt she wasn't enough. I hated the fact that I even struggled with her. I thought that if I could just heal fast enough, grow spiritual enough, evolve quickly, become perfect enough, then maybe that part of me that didn't feel like she was enough would finally disappear. I actually believed that to be truly confident and whole, I had to get rid of the voice inside that whispered, "You're not enough." But here's the truth, and I wish someone had told me this earlier. And it's the truth that I would really love for you to know. And that is that everyone, and I mean everyone, in some way or another is plagued by this. No matter how successful, how radiant, how seemingly beautiful or together someone is, there's actually usually some echo of unworthiness in the background, right? That sense of not being enough, of being too much or not enough, or both at the same time, is heartbreakingly human. But it also cracks the heart open to deep, deep, deep levels of healing. And for me, that feeling of not being enough didn't come out of nowhere. It started really early. Let's call her 3 years old, Ayelet. That little girl who didn't yet have the words to say what she needed, or who learned early in life that love could be conditional, or that approval came through performance, and that worth had to be earned, right? That little girl decided somewhere along the way, maybe I'm just not enough. So years later, when I judged that part of me, when I shamed her and tried to fix her and tried to meditate her way, journal her way, manifest her way, live in an ashram for 6 years in India her way, like I wasn't just trying to get rid of a belief. I was trying to eliminate her, my 3-year-old self. And every time I did that, I was unintentionally reinforcing the very wound that I was trying to heal. I was abandoning myself all over again. But healing doesn't come through self-rejection. It never has, and it never will. And that's the wake-up call I would really love for you to receive in this episode, right? The road to I am enough is not paved with perfection or performance or getting rid of that part. Rather, it's paved with integration, with the decision to stop pushing that part of ourselves away because we're ashamed of her, and instead pull her in so close to wrap her in our arms and whisper to that little 3-year-old girl or 5-year-old or 10-year-old or however old she is for you and say, I see you, I love you, and to me, you are more than enough. That's when things begin to shift, not overnight, but over time, gently, consistently, bit by bit, step by step, through presence, through patience, through building a relationship with yourself that is not based on fixing, but on radical loving. When you stop judging those parts and start listening to them with curiosity, you build an inner sanctuary, and that sanctuary becomes your true home. It becomes a safe home for yourself. So it's not about becoming flawless. It's about becoming whole. Because wholeness, again, doesn't mean that nothing's broken. It just means that nothing gets left out. And when every part of you has a seat at the table, when your inner little one is no longer exiled, but rather held, celebrated, validated, and safe, that's when you become truly free. The desire to be seen, understood, and loved is not wrong. We all have that desire, and it's important to be seen. It's important to be understood. It's important to be loved. It's beautiful. But when it leads you to abandoning yourself, it becomes a trap. True belonging starts from within. The moment you decide, I will no longer abandon myself to be loved, is the moment you become free. I'm getting chills just saying those words. So today, I invite you to ask yourself, where in my life am I betraying myself in order to belong? What boundaries need to be clarified? What parts of me are still waiting for my compassion? And make space for your truth. Speak it. Stand in it. And from that place, watch how life just begins to meet you differently. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for hearing my story and letting me share so vulnerably. I hope that my share really resonated with you on a deep level. If this episode spoke to your heart, please share it with someone who may be walking on a similar path. Right? Please share with me, message me, let me know how this episode touched you. I know so many of you are listening, but I don't always get to hear from you. And the biggest compliment you can give me is reaching out and letting me know how this podcast is touching you, where it meets you. So please don't be afraid to reach out. It means the world to me to hear from you. And if you want support on your journey of deep self-love, boundaries, and aligned manifestation, come join me inside the Manifestation Method membership at ayeletpolonsky.com. Inside the membership, you'll find masterclasses, guided visualizations, journaling prompts, and a supportive community, including myself, to walk alongside of you. Because let's face it, healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in sacred, aligned community. Until next time, stay aligned, love yourself fiercely, and remember, you belong to you first. And that is the most powerful place to be. Here's to your rising. If you enjoyed this episode, let's keep the conversation going inside the Manifestation Method Portal app, your #1 destination for Kabbalistic manifestation. Inside, you'll unlock the secrets of manifestation through my proven Abra method, rooted in Kabbalah, psychology, and quantum physics, designed to help you manifest real, tangible results from the inside out. Join our global community of manifestors, explore our signature courses, monthly live manifestation workshops with me, Ayelet, and access our transformational hypno activations and attunements to rewire limiting beliefs and align with your soul's purpose. The app is available now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. To sign up, head over to ayeletpolonsky.com. Becoming a co-creator with the Creator is your birthright. Let's manifest the life you desire and deserve together.